Happy 2022 to you, boo. You have made it another year. Give yourself the grace and space to be excited for all that you've overcome and all that you've already overcame. We are more than excited and grateful for you to be here supporting the Pure Blackness podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and please rate us 5 stars, please, on Apple and Spotify. Our first guest is a testament to the power of divine timing and when love aligns. She is the CEO of her branding and media corporation. She's a branding expert with over 15 years in the entrepreneurial business and media communications arenas. And y'all, I knew this was going to be amazing because before we even started, we prayed together. Now that is the type of energy I'm trying to take into 2022. Please enjoy this interview with Tara Gates Williams. It's your favorite cousin at the cookout coming through with another episode of the Pure Blackness podcast. This is a podcast that celebrates our Blackness, and it's right at the intersection of that Blackness and everyday life. Today, I am so honored. Y'all know how y'all have those people that you just follow on Instagram, and it's like, man, like I can tell that this person is really, they're rooted, they're grounded, and they thriving in their faith, and God is just blessing them in all of their endeavors. But it genuinely feels real. Like you can really feel like, I know I'm not the only one that has Instagram cousins. So I am super excited that this is someone that I truly admire, I truly look up to, who has been providing a blueprint for me just in terms of how to run a business, my life. I love the way she presents herself. I am super excited to welcome our newest cousin onto the show, y'all. Hey, Cousin Tara.
Whoop, whoop. Hello.
So
Thank you for having me in the kingdom.
Thank you. No, thank you for being here. I'm speaking about none other than Tara Gates Williams. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, Brandon and a whole corporation, y'all. I'm not talking about nothing slight right here. So I'm pretty sure you can give us all a breakdown of everything that you have going on better than I can. So just introduce yourself and tell everyone all of the many wonderful things that you do.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm Tara Gates Williams, brand expert, CEO of TGW Unified, a branding and marketing company. My passion, my mission is to help others, to elevate others to, just expand their reach, increase their visibility, build their reputations. That's just what I love to do, help others, just walk in their purpose, but also serve in their purpose for others, whether it is they're trying to build their business or, create a brand, but however I come in to help you, ignite that vision or make you understand that vision. I don't want to say make you, but help you understand that vision of what your brand represents is kind of where I live.
Yes, absolutely. I think that that is so true about just everything that you're doing and how it's just, for me, it's the level of professionalism. Like I definitely appreciate that about, how you handle everything with the different brands and things that you do market with. Let everybody know some of the major companies and just contracts and trademarks and different things to accomplish.
I've worked with a little bit of everywhere. And that's the beauty of it, right? I think the beauty in life is just like whatever you want to do, you talk to God about it and you put your work into it and you get to have these amazing opportunities. So, I've worked with BET before. I've done independent films that have aired on BET, Sprint. I worked with Sprint when it was Sprint. Let me just take it there before it went to T-Mobile, and helping their customers who do work on Sprint's business platform, help them understand what branding is all about. Where else have I been? I do a lot of speaking and on air talks just about branding, just like on the news and stuff like that. Aljazeera, News Channel 8, Let's Talk Live, that kind of stuff when that was around. But I also serve. I'm really big on serving. So I'm an advisory board member for the Office of Development at the Bush School of Business, Career Development at the Bush School of Business at the Catholic University. I'm also a member of the Continental Societies Incorporated, which is a global community service organization. I'm an advisory board member for the Women of Prince George's, which is an organization that provides women and business owners with educational experiences, inspiration, and like resources to support their business growth. So yeah, that's just a wee bit about me.
I love it. So I know
Yeah.
everyone sees, just how successful you and your husband have been able to, just the beautiful life that you guys have been able to build together. Definitely can tell God had his hand on that one.
Yeah. And how did I forget that? Yes, and I'm co-founder of When Love Aligns.
Yes.
with my husband. He's a licensed therapist, Paul Bashea Williams. Yes, we founded When Love Aligns. It actually was our wedding theme, and it just grew into a brand for us, and it's been a blessing. And we talk about everything: love, intimacy, healthy relationships, all that good stuff.
So what inspired you to, because it takes a certain type of person to be able to have the vision for an entire branding and marketing for a company that they may not have necessarily started themselves, to come into something that's already been established and create the branding and the marketing and do all that you do. So I guess what initially sparked your interest in that particular field?
In branding?
Mm-hmm.
So just to give you some background, I was in education for 26 years before I even got into branding. I started off classroom teacher. I finished, I'm a retired high school principal. So when I left that, I was doing training teachers and principals in Baltimore City. And towards the end of my educational career, I always, you always one of those friends that always had that side business going. I always had some type of something going on. I had that entrepreneurial spirit in me before I knew what to call it. You know what I mean? So I always had that side gig, so to speak. And I loved it. But I also found a lot of my friends or anybody would come to me and ask for my advice on their business, or ask for ideas, or ask what it should look like or feel like. And so I was like, you know what? Let me go back to school. So I always wanted a business degree. So I went back and got my MBA. And during the time that I was in that program, I spent some time in Brussels, Belgium, and Romania, and learning international business. And while I was there, some friends said, hey, we want you to do PR for my import-export business. And I was like, absolutely, no problem. But like, I knew nothing about PR, right? So
I said, like, oh yeah,
sure. let me see what I could do. So like, when I came back from there, I got a second master's in public relations. And I really started getting, understanding, okay, all right, I'm going to help people create a relationship with their public relations. I got this figured out. So I had a company called Fire PR, and I started doing PR for different people, some people in entertainment, reality stars, stuff like that. And I started to realize that they did not have a brand for me to promote. They didn't have anything that would hook people into having a relationship with them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
From a public perspective. So I found myself creating brands so I'd have something to promote, to do PR. And I was like, I feel like I was kind of like working backwards in a sense, but I also found the value that a strong brand can provide to whatever public they're trying to reach, whatever target market they're trying to reach. So that's where I kind of fell in love with branding and ended up there and stayed there, because that, to me, building a foundation is something I'm passionate about, helping people really have this true understanding of, at their core, of who they are, what they represent, how to build a reputation behind that, and then how to kind of just like increase their visibility with that strong reputation, which is born from your strong brand. So that's kind of like how I ended up in branding. And, going, doing that early on and really understanding where I live and saying, hey, I'm not doing PR anymore. I'm operating in branding because this is what I do and I do well. And when I'm delivering at my highest level, nobody can touch
Right,
me. And I'm
right,
not saying that in an arrogant way. I'm saying that in my own mindset. And what what I feel like, what I know puts me there is that I have built a strong team too. So it's just not me. You know what I mean?
right.
So, because I can't play all positions and win the game. So I have to be in position with other people in position around me that helps me deliver at that highest level where we are untouchable. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
so
And I'm
yeah, so that's kind of where I
yeah,
live. Mhm.
and I'm so glad that you put that energy out there, because I feel like so many people see the success, and with social media culture, everything is like, oh, I got it out the mud, I'm self-made and all of that. When it's like,
Mm-mm.
how pivotal would you say, like how important and significant has your team been in your success? And then too, also how were you able to find a successful blend of people to work with and be able to support your dream?
I'm gonna be completely honest because I'm one of those people that I've always felt like if I don't do it, it's not gonna be done right. I was one of those
Mhm.
control freaks, one of those people that like it has to be done this way. I am my work, and whatever I'm putting out is speaking for me. So I was real protective. I was real
Mm,
protective. But when you're operating from a genuine place, I feel like you attract all you need. And
mhm,
I work hard, but I also talk to God a lot about it. He
mhm,
sees what I'm doing, and I feel like God sends me to people that I have worked with. And I have never put out a job posting for anybody to come. I've never um did a hiring event. You know what I mean? Like I'll go and speak somewhere and people will come up to me, "Can I intern with you? Can I do this with you?" And then I take them through a process.
mhm,
One person that's working with me now, she literally like sent me a DM on IG, and this is when God is in the mix. Literally, she came to me. Shout out to Bianca. She is everything. She came to me and said, "Hey, I would like to do some stuff for you. I want to do it pro bono. I just see some things that I can help make even better." And I was like,
mhm.
"Okay, so come on, you can make my stuff better. Let's do it."
Right, that's that energy right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I wasn't hating or insecure, nothing, but I told her, I said, "Well, at the moment, I'm working on this project. Maybe we could do something, with some stuff in 2022." And so she was, this was last year. So she was like, "No, I can help you with what's going on right now." And like literally, I was in a position where, when you take on so much work, you just bombard yourself with stuff and you're looking like you get overwhelmed. You're like, how am I finish all this? But God sent her to me at a time that I really needed help. And she just delivered so strong that I hired her. Like, and so I love that because when people come to you and from a selfless standpoint and just want to serve, then you see the genuineness behind it. So like when people like that come to me, I see the value, I pray on it. I know those are people I want to keep. You know,
Mhm,
After I got married last year, um, uh, someone that I had done some stuff with before, she had booked me to host some conferences and stuff. I hadn't talked to her in a long time. She called me like the day after I posted that I got married. She's like, "Wait a minute, I've been working with her. She's been like my event manager for my events since then." So
mhm,
like I feel like these people come at the right time, but I also vet people.
mhm.
I just don't take anybody just because they're coming to me. Um, and so, I feel like when I feel it's right, you know what I mean? You ever get that feeling where you just know?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like to attribute that to just, I mean, very much like you said, God and his timing, and divine timing and alignment. And you can also see that that same timing and alignment is there with your beautiful marriage and your beautiful family as well.
Thank
So
you.
You guys definitely have built such a strong presence on social media. That representation is important to see
Mhm.
happy, successful Black couples. It definitely does and still means a lot. So
Yeah.
just speak to that alignment of like how you guys came to be.
And
Like, what was that? And what is it like dating a therapist? I just feel like,
ah!
like, what is
You
that
know,
like?
um, um, so I'll start from the beginning. Like, so I was uh speaking on a panel one night, it's February 2019, and he was on the same panel I was speaking on. We both were on this show a friend of ours did, and she was premiering her third season, and she was having this big event with the panelists from with people from previous seasons as panelists. And we met on that panel, and he found out what I did, and he was like, I've been looking for someone to help me with my brand. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, well, here's my info. Whenever you're ready, just give me a call.
Mm,
So, we talked after that, and he signed a contract. I brought him on, and the beautiful thing about our partnership from me working for him was that he who he was, because he already had a presence, but when I came and put my hot sauce on him, it just took him in a different space.
yeah. And
And
I want to cut you off, but just for those that don't know, because when you guys had started dating, he already had his very successful book out,
yes, dear
Dear
future
Future Wife.
wife,
Yeah.
man's woman, I mean, a man's guide and a woman's reference to healthy relationships. Y'all can snag that on Amazon.
I know that's
Paul
right.
Bashea Williams. But like he was already like he had so much great stuff. I feel like what a branding person does is they come in, and I know I say hot sauce, put my hot sauce on it, but basically come in and really say, hey, I see you this way. You put a different set of eyes on it, and you move differently to where because it's my goal to elevate people. So like, okay, how
Mhm.
can I elevate who he is and what he's doing? So, taking him through, just a kind of like a rebranding, so to speak, and putting him out there really helped, but also who he already was phenomenal. And the following and the brand that he already built was great. And this is the beauty of it. I had something to work with.
Mhm.
So I found myself with him, even though I kind of did some branding stuff for him, I found myself for him more in the marketing PR realm. And it was great because not only I worked with him and did the rebrand, and people started, his visibility started increasing and everything. He helped me. And because it was doors that I couldn't get into before when I used to pitch different things that now were
Mm.
opening because I was pitching him. So it was this reciprocal, business partnership going on. So that was the beautiful part of it. It just seemed like everything that we were doing was in alignment. And then, we worked together for a while. And then you know, he expressed interest, and I was kind of like, wait a minute, because I ain't getting money. I ain't gonna get feelings confused with the finances. This is
All right.
still business over here, right? I'm still doing a job. I tease him about that all the time. But no, and we became we started, he asked to date me, we became exclusive, and then we got engaged and we got married. And it was wonderful being in a relationship with somebody. So they always say, what's it like dating a therapist? And see, I feel like it's two things. Like, who he is who I fell in love with,
Mm.
right? What
Mhm.
he does adds to the relationship, because for me, he has a deeper understanding of self. He has a And I'm not saying you have to be a therapist to have a deeper understanding of self. Okay, don't get me wrong, everybody out there. I'm
Right.
just saying he's a man that I met, and I feel like his profession has definitely influenced who he is as a person. So he has a deeper understanding of self. His communication is on a different level than anyone I've ever dated. So it was just a lot of different things. So I fell in love with who he is, and I think who he is built, of course, from life experiences and everything, but also feel like his profession, what he does, lends to that, but he is not that. You know what I mean? So I think
Definitely.
that's what makes it great, being married to a therapist, so to speak. It's a different experience, but I do not get the two confused, because when it's all said and done, I'm not walking around the house calling him my therapist. I'm calling him my husband. You know what I mean? So
Right. Absolutely. And like I said, the bond that you guys do have,
yeah,
it's so raw and it's so authentic. And I think
yeah,
that's why it is so relatable.
yeah,
Because I love that y'all are so real. I love the video that you guys had posted where you talked
mhm,
about how you guys do the oil every morning. And you like,
yeah.
even if I'm mad, I'm like, you like, come get this oil.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna flick it on them if anything, right? Oh, and we get on each other's nerves. Don't get me wrong, right? Like we all have those moments. We're
Yeah.
disconnected and we get reconnected. So it's still a real life relationship. We're not, every day is not running around the house smiling and all that, because we still have our lives, we still live, and if we get disconnected, we come back together. Or if we find ourselves so busy and wrapped up in work, we still try to make time, create the time for one another. But it is, yeah, like you said, it's real.
Yeah, it's very real, and it's so, like I said, it's just so authentic. And with the level of transparency that you two share with building the brand that is When Love Aligns.
Hmm.
Like I know you said that was, what your wedding was, but now you guys have built that into its own separate entity. And it there is so much transparency that's given
Hmm.
in that, in terms of just your dating life and your relationship and your marriage. How is that for you, that balance of kind of letting us in to see, to see the inner workings so that it's beneficial to others, but still kind of reserving what keeps you guys close? Like, how do you balance that level of like transparency and boundaries?
Well, I think it all started when we were dating, like, because I remember telling him, I was like, I mean, I was like, I don't really, I'm not, I always said this. I said, I'm never going to post any man on my page unless it's my husband.
Mm,
I said, the next man I post, I was in a previous relationship. So was he, you know, and I had been single for about 4 years. So I always said, hey, the next man I post is going to be my husband. So like, that was my commitment to myself. And I shared that with him and he was on the same page. So like, we weren't out here public and dating, you know,
right.
we were in here protecting our peace in private. So I think we got the practice from that. But also, kind of going back to the other question, something I left out was that, he's the first, when we became exclusive, he asked me to go to counseling, couples counseling. And
Mm,
I've never been dating in a dating situation or exclusive relationship with someone where they said, hey, let's go to counseling. And I think a lot of that comes from, him being a therapist too, because he works with couples, right? He
mm,
kind of sees the different things that happen. And not saying that that would happen in our relationship, but I think his approach was, let's get to know each other through therapy, along with just getting to know each other, period, because we don't want to wait to be in therapy, wait for a problem to be in therapy. We want to be in therapy to be able to prevent or navigate the problems when they come, to
wow,
have
that's
the
powerful.
to have the tools. So anybody out there that's dating and you serious about somebody, hey, don't wait to do some 5-week course on marriage before you get married. Date and be in counseling and really get to know each other on a deep level, and also have the tools on how to resolve and communicate, because I think a lot of problems will be prevented. So going back to your question, is that we share, yes, we share the ups, the downs, but also I think we've already been in a place where we know how to shut it down when we need our time and our privacy. You know
Mm,
what I mean? But we're also open to share, on whatever level God leads us to, that we decide to do a live, or if we decide to speak at a conference, or have our own conference. So I
right.
think we created that balance long ago.
Yeah, and I love that. I love the terminology that you use, and even how with on, even if you look on the Instagram page for When Love Aligns, so much
Hmm.
of it is rooted in prayer and
Hmm.
how you all speak to each other and pour into each other. Your faith seems to be such a strong part of who you are as an entrepreneur, in your
Hmm.
marriage, just kind of in your overall life. So,
Hmm.
how do you feel like your faith and your beliefs and just your connection with God has helped your journey?
Because all my failures business, relationship wise, they never had faith or God in them. So
Mm.
when I really looked back on my life and said, when was I winning? Even though, sometimes you win when you lose, right? But I don't regret any of the failures or any of the things that I went through when I thought I was losing, because had those not happened, I would not have drawn closer to God to get really clear on what it is he needs me to do. So I feel like, I went through a discipleship program and really got my relationship on track. I always had a relationship with God, but I was treating it like, swiping left and swiping right. You know what I mean? Like I was just, what is it? His pastor said one time, he said, everybody wants to sleep with God, but nobody wants to have his baby. And
Ooh.
I was like, okay, but he was dead right. I want to call on God in the midnight hour when I need something or when something isn't going right. It was like I was making a booty call to God, but then the minute I don't want to get pregnant, because then that's something I'm going to have to take care of. That's something I'm going to have to nurture. I'm going to have to really go all in. I'm going to have to sacrifice, because when you have a baby, guess what? You got to raise that baby. You got to nurture it. You can't do the things that you used to do. You have to make sacrifices. You have to give up some things. And that's how it is when you commit to God.
Mm-hmm.
So when I realized how I was navigating and how things weren't going the way they could go with God, because I was trying to do everything myself, and you can't do it without him. So when I just look back and see those things, I'm like, I was always winning with God. I was winning, period, because I was waking up every morning. But it was how I was choosing to live in those 24 hours that made the difference. Now, am I going to be living with God and going through the day with him all day and yielding and knowing what I'm supposed to say no to, so say yes to, or I'm going to be out here trying to figure it out on my own? So, for me, it was really important to have a relationship with God and really hear from him.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can definitely agree with that. I've been in that place in my life where it was like, oh no, if I need something, I'll call you.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can't be treating God like a booty call. Y'all better quit playing,
Right.
because what if he did us like that?
Right. A world of trouble. I would not be ready. Not prepared for that
Some
at
of us wouldn't
all.
even be here. Some of us wouldn't even be
Okay.
here. We wouldn't know.
Okay.
We wouldn't know how to handle it. Just like when you're in that bad relationship, you shouldn't be in. Your heart gets excited when the phone rings, but if it's always ringing at midnight, how excited you gonna be?
Come on now.
So
How fulfilled are you really if it's really
yeah,
just part-time?
yeah,
That's a word.
yeah.
That's a word. And I'm so glad that you're speaking to this, because again, I think that it's power in sharing our testimonies and letting people know the ups and the downs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that, again, kind of just referring back to that social media culture that we built nowadays of just like everything is, I'm up and it's yachts and it's shopping sprees and it's,
Yeah.
all of
Mm-hmm.
these things that just the glitz and the glam. But it's like, I think that our humanity lies in us being honest and sharing our true story. So for someone who is in those dark moments that that you were mentioning, or in that moment of kind of, they are, like you said, swiping right, swiping left on God.
Mm-hmm.
What are some just encouraging words that you would tell them right now if they were listening and they're kind of, unsure of what to do next? This is a new year. We're in 2022. Like, a lot has happened between 2020 and 2021. So with everyone kind of going into this new year, what's just some encouraging words that you could share for someone who may be kind of in an area where they're just kind of stuck right now?
Christ doesn't live in confusion. And if you're confused about anything, then you really have to take a step back and look at, my dad used to always tell me, always do what's best for you. And he's not meaning that in a selfish way. He's not meaning that in a way that has disregard for anyone else. He just meant it as, look at the situation, because you get a choice in every situation that you're in. Anybody in relationship, if somebody's showing you who they are and they're doing all these different things, you're confused, you're not happy, you get to make a choice.
Mhm.
If you're in a position or situation that you're in right now, you made choices that
Mhm.
led you there. So you can make choices that lead you out of there. It's all about a choice. I think where it gets hard to make those choices, because it's easy for me to say, "Hey, girl, make a choice. Make sure I've been you. I know it's hard. I think what happens is when it gets hard is because we're tied to our feelings and emotions, and we're tied to the outcome of the situation.
Mhm.
Because ultimately, when you focus on the outcome, you're thinking about what you want. You got to shift from the outcome to God's will.
Mhm.
And you have to be patient enough to receive his will. And when you're operating God's will, it's a process to that. So I always tell people you got to break up with the outcome and get married to the process, because
Mhm. That's a word.
that's where the promise lies. If you never ever get the outcome that you want, are you still going to be satisfied?
Mm.
And that's what you really have to think about. Like, just when you got to release what it is you want and walk into what God's will is. Because see, here the thing is, we're over here hanging on and wanting something so bad. God's over here like, baby, if you could see what I had, you wouldn't be able to comprehend it right now with your state of mind. That's why you haven't shown it to you yet.
Mm. That's real.
And I tell my husband, and if I use my husband as an example, and not knocking any of my past relationships, you know what I mean? I'm just
Mm.
talking about the choices I made in those relationships. I chose to stay in unhealthy relationships, abusive relationships, a long time frame relationships, because of what I wanted. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have this. I wanted it with this person, and that's what it's just supposed to be.
Mm.
But that ain't what God had for me. And I tell my husband all the time, I say, baby, you are the overflow. You're the overflow.
Come on now.
Because when you over here, some of us will be over here holding on to a half a glass of water.
Mm.
And God is over here trying to make your cup flow over. But that's when you got to step out of being in this place of comfort of, well, I'd rather be with the devil I do know than the devil I don't know. The
Yeah.
fact that you're calling it the devil already should tell you
Should tell you that is not where you should
that,
be.
thank you. So where you going to operate in what you want or God's will that's the choice. And if you're operating in God's will and you're connected to him, you're praying to him, all of that stuff that you're struggling with inside, that stuff will dissolve. You'll be so fully in in position with God that all that pain or that loneliness, all those things that you think you're feeling and going through, you won't even feel it. And then when you are fully in his will and he's ready to bless you with his promise, it's going to feel like you have not waited 1 second.
Yes, that feeling, that fulfillment will be there because it's divine.
Yep.
I,
I was in a
I know.
15-year relationship with my husband before I met my husband. I was in a 15-year relationship because of what I wanted and what I was holding on to.
Mm.
Then when I got out of that and was single for 4 years, I meet my husband in February 2019. We were dating in September. We became exclusive in December. He proposed to me in January, and we were married in August.
Mm.
When somebody wants you, you'll never be confused. If somebody has intentions for you, you will never have to ask one question. What we doing? Where we going? What are your plans for us? I never had to ask my husband one question. He moved in such a way I was never confused or never had a question. And when you're operating in that way, you're operating with someone who's ready, who's clear, who knows what they want. And if you're not, then you get to make a choice.
And on that note, let's take a quick break. At the intersection of Blackness and everyday life, you will find the experience that is the Pure Blackness podcast. It is Black-owned, woman-owned, veteran-owned, and operated by a collective of Black women who are dedicated to amplifying Black voices. If you would like to support our mission, please DM us for advertising and sponsorship opportunities. You can also donate on the Anchor link. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
tell my daughter all the time, if you got to sit here, cut and paste, add, subtract, and carry the one, keep it moving. It doesn't make the person bad. It just makes them not ready for you.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. That's
Yes.
it. I mean, all of that was a word. And I mean, and I think the main thing to take out of that is, like you said, the choice. Like, it's so much of, like you said, of things that we try to set in for what we want, but God's will always, listen, a word, honey. Didn't I tell y'all cousin was gonna come and give us? Listen, y'all understand now why I was so excited to have her here. Okay. As y'all can see, this woman is amazing. She's, I mean, just the wisdom, the knowledge, the talent. I want to know, with this new year, and a few years down the road, 5 years from now or so, where do you see yourself? Where do you see the brand? Where do you feel God is taking you next in your journey?
I definitely want to write some books on branding. I
Mm,
definitely want to be speaking on larger stages. But also, I want to be, 5 years from now, I want to be the brand whisperer. Like,
okay.
I don't know how else to say it. I always am blessed when people schedule like consultations with me or people invite me to speak. Monica, I just really get excited, and I feel like the presence of the Holy Spirit and God when I'm in this place of helping people find out who they are as a
Mm,
brand. So
yeah.
I would love to have a television show that focuses on me helping and serving people to find out who they are as a brand. I'm claiming that. I've never said that. I'm gonna be 100.
I love
I haven't.
it.
I have never said
Praise it.
that. I've thought about writing books and things like that. And I think where I get caught up is, you know what? Nobody knows who I am. I haven't had that big one thing yet for somebody to say, yeah, we want her. And I think it's time to shift now, as social media has allowed us to do, where you could be in this place where your presence is felt in such a way that it makes an impact. So when I say I want a television show and I want to be on there reading people and helping them figure out who they brand, I want people to see how capable and how purposeful their brand is. But a lot of times some people are either attached to the money of it or they're attached to the shine of it. Get attached to the core of it and the root of the service that you're giving. People have to shift from all that other stuff and get in a serving mindset. Because ultimately, when you're building a brand, you're serving someone, whether it be through a product or service or whatever it is, you're still
Mhm.
serving someone. Shift your mindset to how can I serve in such a way that it's either going to innovate, make an impact, or evolve someone else. And that's where I'm at. Like, I would love to do that. I would love to just have people with just don't know what to do with their brand or don't know how to establish their brand. And I go in and say,
Mhm.
here's the process, because the process is the outcome.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I see myself. So
Okay.
those couple of things, and then just continuing to serve, right? Continuing to serve and inspire, hopefully, younger generation of people that want to do business, marketing, entrepreneurship, branding, whatever it is.
Okay. I love it. And we definitely need more of that in the industry. I mean, even as just a baby entrepreneur, as I am, it's a lot of places where we need that direction. We need that help. So I will definitely be looking forward to the book. And when you publish it, just make sure you be like, I was on this podcast and I spoke it to Monica that I was gonna do this.
Amen.
Amen. We're gonna claim that thing. But yeah, just let everybody know what is some things that you have planned for this year that we can support, that we can follow. Just let everybody know
Oh,
the information.
um, so starting January 12th this month, I'm going to be launching my 5-week private group coaching, where I work with anyone, mainly women. That's who kind of signs up with me, but men are welcome too. through the coaching program. They spend 5 weeks with me, and we just dig deep in. And this is kind of born from my Design Your Destiny Declaration Vision Board event I do every year. But it just really, helps people dig deep in staying true to the commitment that they made to themselves about what it is for the things that they want. I do a daily prayer call. I've been doing a daily prayer call for the past 8 years now, every morning at 8 a.m. And they get access to that. But just teaching people how to be unapologetically upfront about their expectations in love, business, and life, and creating that unparalleled consistency, because consistency is what helps you to reach the goals that you're really desiring to meet. So that 5-week coaching program begins January 12th. It's a Wednesday. We meet every other Wednesday for 5 Wednesdays, and so that's what's coming up. But also, my husband and I, we are launching our book, which is Dear Marriage, When Love Aligns, kind of play on his dear future wife.
Okay.
And so our book will be coming out. And we have our When Love Aligns weekend experience. That's going to be August 12th, 13th, and 14th, 2022. So we just have those different events coming up. The coaching course this month, and then our When Love Aligns event, the book. And my husband's coming out with a new book called Found, as well, for men. So yeah, just a lot of that's going on. And as I declared just right here with you, I would love putting it out there. Love to have a show on branding, to help folks dig deep in brand.
I love it. I love it. I will definitely be supporting all of the things. So I'm definitely
Thank
looking
you.
forward to it. And one thing I also love about y'all are a couple after my own heart because y'all travel. I love
Oh my
traveling.
gosh.
Do
Yes,
you
I should have
have
said
any
that too,
exciting
Monica.
travel plans for
Yes, we're
2022?
going to Tanzania,
Nice.
um, Cabo for a wedding. Um, I kind of like to take my husband on surprise trips here and there.
Okay.
So what I have planned, if I said it, would be a surprise.
Right. No, no, no. Save
But
that. Save
check When Love
that.
Aligns for husband holiday.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so we do a lot of traveling. And see here, this is, oh my gosh. I when I did my vision board for my husband back in 2000, I think it's 18, I had put on there, travel the world, whatever. When I met my husband, he was always traveling. And I was like, he travels a lot. That's a lot. And I remember he went to, when we became exclusive, and he went to Kenya for
Mm.
right after Christmas. And he came back from Kenya and he said, I'm never going to take another trip without you.
Oh.
Because that was a trip he had already planned before we became exclusive. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow. And I will say, to this day, we have never taken a trip without each other. And we have been on over 15 trips since we've met.
I love it. What's been your
So,
favorite place so far?
um,
Or maybe your top three, because I know it's hard to just pick
yeah,
one.
because some of the trips are more about the experience than the location. And some of the
Absolutely.
trips about the location and just hang with my husband. But
Right.
I will say the very first trip we took was to the mountains, and I'm an outdoorsy person. I love being in the cold, the snow, and the mountains, all of that. And
Okay.
he's a tropical person. And I remember for my birthday exactly 2 years ago, because my birthday is next week, he took me to the mountains. And it was like, literally, when I tell you, I will never forget that trip. I get emotional thinking about that trip,
Oh,
because it was something that I said that I always wanted to do, and he made that a reality. So that's why that trip was so special. And it's so funny because he is taking me back there next week for my birthday.
I love it. Well,
Yes.
we're gonna shout you a happy early birthday and an amazing trip. I know y'all are
Thank
gonna
you.
love
Thank you.
it.
And you know what? He gave me a whole new love for Jamaica, because I've never been to Jamaica, and he's taken me there twice. And we just love Jamaica. I love Jamaica now. And then we were in Dubai and Maldives, which was unforgettable. So
Oh,
I know
yeah.
we'll be making some more memories this year. But I just want to share with your listeners, like, whatever it is you're doing, just do it from a heart of service. And it's this quote that I just absolutely live by and love. And it's by Benjamin Disraeli. And the quote is, the greatest good you can do for another is not to just share your riches, but to reveal to him his own.
Mm,
And that quote means a lot to me, because that to me is being at a heart of service. I'm not here to build your brand for you. I'm not here to be your brand or sell your brand. I'm here to reveal to you the riches that you have to offer the world through your brand. And that to me is where I serve. And I think we have to have that heart of service, because what's going to keep you going every day is your mantra, your scripture, because I got scriptures for you too, that I defer to when I'm struggling. I remind myself, hey, the whole Habakkuk 2:3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. But at the end, it will speak. It will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And I think a lot of times when they're creating their business or their brand or looking for a relationship or whatever your vision is for that, take it to God, and it's going to come at the appointed time. We just have to be patient, because we can't let our mindset take over to I always tell people, don't let your mindset have you missing out on your promise. And because you're impatient, or because it's not looking like you want to look, or it's not happening in the time that you want. God said the vision is yet for an appointed time. And any vision you have, if you're connected with God, you're gonna know it's from him. And whatever you desire, he says it in Habakkuk 2:2. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. So you're putting your vision, you're connected with God. He's giving you the vision, and you're going to wait on it, because it's going to come at a appointed time. Because if you try to make it happen before God's timing, it's only going to crumble. So, yeah, I just want to leave people with that. Like, whatever's going to keep you going, and whatever's going to give you that reminder to keep you going, no matter how hard it gets, get with that scripture, get with that quote, get with that mantra, whatever it is. Stay connected to that in God, because that's what's going to help you win.
I love it. I love it. Make sure y'all tap in, support her. This is the vibe that she gives just on a regular day, honey. Like, this is why I'm a very loyal supporter of all that you do. And I wish you nothing but success in all of your endeavors. You are truly, truly a blessing in this whole like social media space where there's so much fluff and foolishness. It is definitely a blessing to have someone like you come through with that authenticity, rooted in the word, rooted in their faith, with a genuine spirit and heart to want to help people.
Yeah,
we appreciate that about you.
I thank you. I thank you for saying that, because that's what it's about, right?
Yeah,
we're all here to evolve and elevate. We can't do it alone. We can't, and we definitely can't take full credit.
Not at all. I am not self-made. You will never hear me rapping them lyrics or singing that song.
God did this.
Right, that ain't me. Like, I would never take all the credit for any of this. But before I let you go, one thing that we do for all of our cousins, because on this podcast, we're Black, we're all family. Yes. We don't have, guest hosts and supporters and followers. No, it's none of that. Okay. We kicking it like we at grandmama house. Okay. We cousins.
Let's do it.
All right. So one thing we have to ask everyone, because this is the Pure Blackness podcast.
I have
to know, what is your favorite moment in your Blackness? Just when you feel like, man, this is dope. Like, you just look at something like, ooh, that's Black and I love it. It could be something you've done, something you've seen, something you've experienced. Like, what's a moment for you that's just like peak Blackness for you?
For me, every time I think of my grandmother teaching me to pray. Every time I used to think of my mother when she used to go out there and hustle and work her jobs. Every time I think about all the wisdom that my father has given me. Every time that I think about all the creativity that my brother blesses me with, all the motivation that my little brother blesses me with, the beauty, the genuineness, the 100% accountability that all my good old girlfriends, beautiful Black women, bless me with and hold me accountable for. My daughter, when I look at her every day and just say, oh my gosh, how did you pick me to raise her?
Mm.
And I see who the woman she has become because of everything that I learned from my grandmother, my mother, my girlfriends, my father. I get to bless and serve and raise a human being that is incredible, that I learn from. So my favorite moments in Blackness happen every day when I open my eyes and I look and see all of my Black people winning, and I'm genuinely happy for it.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah,
love it. That right there. And I love that you started with like you said, seeing her pray. Cause that's we are rooted in our religion and our faith from
yeah.
birth. Like
She used to teach me to pray. Mama, she'd be like, "Get on your knees." Like we did not
okay.
pray. We ain't pray laying in the bed with one foot hanging off. Like, Lord, thank you for waking me up. I'm too tired. It was on your knees.
I know that's
It
right.
was
I know
on you.
that's right.
You're going before the Father. You better bow down.
All right now.
And if I'm laying in bed and I'm trying to even remotely try to wrap my mind around saying good morning to God, I feel guilty. And I get on my knees. And when I'm on a prayer call, I get on my knee. If I'm at my desk at work, I will get on my knees and like we gotta bow before him. He's worthy. And we gotta treat him as such. Because as much as he loves us, how can we deny him that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love it. That's some powerful Blackness right there. That's beauty from the ancestral lineage all the way to, like you said, looking at your daughter
Yeah.
now. So that's beautiful. I have to ask because you guys are such a big you guys are big components of Black love. You're a great
Mm-hmm.
representation of Black
Mm-hmm.
love. So, in addition to what's your favorite moment in your Blackness, what's your favorite moments in that beautiful Black love that you share with your husband?
I think I know, I hate to say I think I know my favorite moments are when we pray. My favorite moments in Black love is when my husband and I pray. And I remember when we first began praying together, he would come behind me. And we did a whole TikTok on this that went viral and everybody was talking about it. But like the understanding about that, like when we kneel and pray, and he had told me one time, he said, I never prayed on my knees till I met you.
Mm,
And he comes behind me in prayer, and it's not for anything sexual or anything like that, but he used to always say, he's like, when we're in this position of prayer, this is when the enemy comes to seek, kill, and destroy, and we have to protect ourselves. He was like, and I'm behind you as your husband, because anything that's trying to come after you is going to have to go through me first.
mm,
And I just thought that that was so powerful, and that is how we pray. So, you know, my favorite moment in Black love is when everything starts in prayer, because I feel like everything is born out of that. And even in our anointing one another every day and reading our vision board, mm, that to me is just another way we communicate, not
mm,
only with each other, but with God. And I feel like everything can be resolved, can be developed in communication.
mm.
So those are my favorite moments in Black love.
I love it. That is very
Yeah.
powerful because even though, of course, this is a part of your faith, the level of vulnerability that it takes, that level of like intimacy, friendship, for that like you are just releasing all barriers, all boundaries, and y'all both are doing that together.
Yeah.
Wow, that is very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why Black love is revolutionary.
Whew.
Okay,
It's a beautiful thing. Yes, it is. If
beautiful,
we could just
beautiful.
love one another and each other.
Yes, there's so much
And
power in it.
yeah, yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you again, the amazing, the super successful, the highly anointed, the powerful powerhouse that is Tara Gates Williams. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was truly a blessing. And I know it was a blessing to me, and I know it's going to be a blessing to my listeners. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And I want to thank all of y'all for tuning in each and every week and supporting us. Very much like Tara spoke in this interview, a lot of this, of what I do, is God's will, nothing but God's will.
Yeah.
So I am so honored that I have been given this platform. I am honored that people grant me the opportunity to allow Black voices to be heard, to highlight us, to spotlight us, and to just celebrate our Blackness, because baby, we are beautiful. So make sure, if you're listening right now, you go out there, you make those choices, you submit to God's will, and you do it celebrating the beautiful Black person that you are. Make sure y'all come back next Monday, because we're going to have another new cousin on at around here at Grandmama House. So make sure that y'all tune in. Peace and light, y'all. We'll talk next week.
Bye-bye.